All right, thank you everyone for coming. My name is Audrey Marcus. I'm the Senior Vice President, General Manager of what we call the books business at Clarivate. I'll let my colleague introduce herself.
Hi everyone, good to see you. I'm Tash Hickmans, Director of Industry and Publisher Strategy at Books at Clarivate.
So today we wanted to take you through some of our newest and upcoming innovations, what we've been focused on in the books business, what our teams are focused on, share with you some new features, new highlights, and of course take any questions you might have or thoughts you may have. So just a kind of overview of who we are in the books business and what that means. So we call this our academic knowledge core. If you've attended any other Clarivate session here, you may have seen the academic knowledge core, this image broader with the other parts of what we call our academic and government segment. That includes our journals business, dissertations, the historical collections, the software business, and now Web of Science. And what we've pulled out here today is the books and marketplaces core. So a little background about who we are. So when we talk about through the outer ring here, and we start with research excellence, this business started and originated with eBrary many, many years ago at this point now. If you remember eBrary, and then it expanded with EBL and My iLibrary. Eventually added Coots into the mix, and then Rialto was launched as well. So really what the books business entails is its roots in the support for research, and then eventually transitioning into curation and workflows, Ebook Central, the reader, the library impact, and the library workflows with the marketplaces. And that is Ebook Central, that is Oasis, that is Rialto. That is also what we call data products, which if you remember the Bowker brand, we still use Bowker and we still have our data products running behind the scenes in the pipes of a lot of these products. So as teams, we focused on supporting collection strategy, whether that's in either of the two marketplaces or even in Ebook Central itself. We support a whole variety of commercial models and the tools and the reports and the mechanisms needed to manage that. We understand that libraries move in and out of different commercial models and they change. And so we're here to support that change. We have a heavy focus on curation with our products, particularly in Ebook Central. We've done a lot of new work, both curation internally with our librarians, but also with our customers, and Tosh will talk about that, different ways we support that. Heavily focused on workflow, I'd say, in the last 7-8 years, and that was the build of Rialto and the redo of Oasis. And that whole workflow is about from that decision point of I need something or what should I buy, all the way to the invoice. And making sure that gets in the discovery layer, making sure you can access your usage data and make decisions back around on the front end. And then finally, the e-reader, we've had a new e-reader. It was launched back in probably 2015 when Ebook Central launched. And now we're making some big changes around that. We're gonna show you some of that today. So with that, I will first to some of our big initiatives, how we think about and innovate around the business. So first for the library, Tosh will talk about new TMF reports. That's our title matching fast. That's our behind the scenes IP algorithm that allows us to do a lot of really cool reporting for our libraries, where it could be anything from a curriculum analysis, a benchmark analysis. It has its roots in the P2E, but it has broadly expanded. Does a lot of curriculum reports, a lot of reading list matching and other areas. And the libraries are actually innovating on this tool and coming up with new ideas. So Tosh will talk about some of the new areas we're supporting. We keep going further into content curation, and Tosh will talk about that. And new languages, new voices. We've had a push for a number of years to get beyond the English content and also get beyond the English content that is published in the, what we'll call core markets that we're used to. So we've been bringing in a lot of new content, but from new voices. So bringing content in from Africa, bringing content in from Korea, not just from the US and the UK and Australia. Rialto's continues to grow, and there's been a lot of work this year of extending its reach. So the most recent innovations are around integrating with Rapido. So that whole decision point of, do I borrow a book? Do I buy the book? Can I get the book? And so we've really integrated that along with Leganto. There's a great workflow around the reading list. What do I have? What do I need? Can I order it? What is the price? Order it, have it circulate through. I ordered this, it's now in the reading list. We work very close with the community, so we've developed out more and more advisory boards. We have our DEI advisory boards. We've been working with librarians on the indigenous collections, and I think we have a session about that coming up here today or tomorrow. And we have libraries doing guest curation, and so we'll show you a little bit about that. And then what I'm going to show you next is how we're improving student outcomes. So I don't think you could get through a session here at Charleston without talking about generative AI. So I will talk about our generative AI and our new app that we're really excited about. So let me jump into Research Assistant. And this is our generative AI. So this is in Ebook Central, this is document insights. This is not book summaries, this is not chapter summaries. This is assessing the relevance, analyzing and exploring. So our direction with generative AI was about bringing the research and learning experience to life and expanding it, not replacing it. So how do I know this book is right for me? Insights into the chapter, into the book, relevant topics, better understanding of complex topics, and most importantly, keeping the reader in the book, letting them gain more insights in the book, staying in the book, understanding the book better, and encouraging longer read times. So I don't know if you can see this. I couldn't even see it without glasses, but you know, things like key takeaways from the chapter, right? Not a summary, a key takeaway, insights, right? How do I know this chapter is relevant for me? I still have to read the chapter. I still have to digest and learn. I'm not going to just get a summary and walk away. So very important for us and when we talk to our development partners, but also for the publishers. So again, instant chapter insights. Is it relevant? Yes, no, move on to a different chapter possibly. And gets contextual explanations, really helping boost comprehension. I do want to highlight it's not just generative AI. We already had a lot of value in the metadata of these books within Ebook Central that both we create and publishers send us. And so, but what this does is it enables us to highlight that value that I'm pretty sure a lot of students weren't noticing before. But now that we're going to surface these insights and these contextual explanations and the generative AI that they have grown accustomed to, we're going to add that in there as well, so it's front and center for them. So just some key recaps here. It will be available. Research Assistant is in Ebook Central at no cost. We are not charging for it. It will be an opt-out for all customers. So it will be turned on for every customer once we go to a full scale launch very early next year. Right now, we just opened our development partners on it, I think like literally today. So it'll be an opt-out situation. Other keys, again, we're not summarizing books, we're not summarizing chapters. It will only be available on owned and subscribed content. We will not turn it on in DDA as a method for a trigger. So it will only be available if the library has purchased the content either in a PAL or a subscription format. And we have seen enormous publisher participation. We do support opt-outs at a publisher and a title level. There have been a few random things here and there, and we can support that opt-out really fast at the title or publisher level. So we're really excited about this. If we have anyone who wants to be an early adopter, our development partners are closed. They're on the system now testing, but we are taking early adopters for the next few months to get additional feedback as we continue to enhance and develop. So if anybody wants it, there's a QR code right there. Okay, now moving on to the app. So the app for Ebook Central was born out of two needs. For many years, we did not have requests for an app. We did not have needs for an app. We did not have demand for an app. But two things happened, frankly. Adobe stopped supporting Adobe Digital Editions. And that was already a painful situation, but the security with Adobe became even more painful. So that was a big problem. The second thing is coming out of COVID, we started hearing more and more there was actually a need for an app. A lot of commuter students, you get outside the US and you have big challenges for students with having access at home, or they're on the move. I have 3 jobs. I only can do my work in between. So a lot of scenarios that changed after COVID. And what we saw was there were 2 real strong needs for an app. And the security situation, without getting into the engineering of it, the best way to get off Adobe Digital Editions and control your own destiny with security is to build your own app and control it. So we decided to go down this path a couple of years ago. We've been working on it. The app as well is releasing to our development partners right now. And both the app and Research Assistant will go live for all customers very early next year. So if you want to be an early adopter for the app as well, you certainly can be. But it will be available for all major operating systems, Windows, Apple, iOS, and Android. The authentication is streamlined. It definitely enhances user experience. We have a lot of focus on accessibility and a UI. Much more secure. We've engaged third-party firms to pressure test the security of it and try and hack their way in, and we have been successful. So they have not been, the best of the best have not hacked into this yet. And we'll continue to enhance this app. This will be a opt-in. This is not something we can just flip you on and flip your users on. We recognize that some libraries, you're going to have to go through a CIO department or a technology department to get approvals. So we will support you in that. This will not be a switch we flip on you. This will be a choice of when you flip the switch from Adobe to the app. But again, support for the systems, multilingual support. We developed it with this accessibility in mind. In-depth book details, unified reading experience, whether it's EPUB or PDF. We'll support both. What you would expect to see, adjustable reading settings, navigation, download the content, be able to remove it, what you're currently reading. So a lot of the experiences that students are accustomed to today with the different type of apps they use. So we really try to keep that in mind, and of course the security. So just a little sneak peek of what this looks like. We're really excited about it. It's been a long road coming, but it's here. So if anyone would like to be an early adopter of this, we do have a number of schools that are flipping it on right now, and some are going to flip it on kind of over the Christmas time period, Christmas break. And then early next year, everyone will be able to flip it on. So with that, I will turn it over to Tash.
Thanks, Audrey. So Audrey's spoken about, the work we're doing around innovation to deepen user engagement. And I'm just going to take it a little bit of a step back and talk about how we're actually supporting librarians with content and workflow. So we're now at 2.4 million ebooks in Ebook Central. And so we've come a long way from those days of EBL and eBree. But how do we get there, and how do we keep growing a catalogue that's relevant and is supporting teaching and learning and research? And we do that by curation. And you'll probably hear curation multiple times during the next few minutes as I'm talking. But it really is at the heart of what we do and how we build out the catalogue. So this slide is just pulling out some kind of 2024 kind of highlights, of which there have been many around our content, but we're always striving to ensure that we've got the right content and we're delivering it, at the right time to the right user, to the right librarian. And some of the highlights that we've really kind of honed in on and focused on this year, as already mentioned, have been that non-English language, and also trying to unearth, some of the hidden voices or some voices and thought systems, that, are kind of non-Western. That's been a really, really big focus from us. We've been really lucky because you, the librarian community, have really helped shape that with us via our several advisory boards that we have. And that's culminated in, some of these, great highlights and new additions to our catalogue. So there's some great names here. There's been a big push on French, German, and Spanish content. We've added, almost when you kind of total all of that up, we're getting, kind of closer to like 70,000 just for those three sort of language types. So really, really great highlights for us. Of course, we work with OUP, CUP, Springer, they're kind of long kind of stalwarts and partners with us, but we've started to look at kind of new content sets within those publisher types. So for example, just looking at OUP, we've been partnering with them on ingesting their English language teaching content into Ebook Central. So that went live around, I think, 6-8 weeks ago, and we've had fantastic feedback from that. We know that that's a really key area for a lot of institutions, and it's it's one of the most in-demand type of content. So again, we're listening to librarian feedback, working really closely with our publisher partners, and ingesting that into our catalogue. So these are just some of the fantastic titles that we've seen coming to the platform and that we're getting really great feedback on. Really love this slide just because it just emphasises the work that we are doing around making sure that Ebook Central is inclusive of all and representative as well of the customers and the end users that we have. We have a global reach, and it's really important for us to make sure that we are kind of supporting on a regional level. And as you can see here, we're now hitting some really, really large numbers. I mean, German language content, we're almost at 300,000 there. But there's also some of, have been, historically fringe kind of like languages. So you can see, with Dutch, we're almost at 4,000, Polish, Japanese as well, where we're getting close to 6,000. This year, we've really kind of looked at our, what we refer to as international expansion, so focusing on some key regional areas, and that's based on librarian feedback. Audrey referenced it earlier, so doing some work on bringing in more content published by African authors and published by African publishers, and also looking at East Asian language. We hear a lot, especially from our North American librarians, that due to the demographic of users and faculty and the modules and research areas that are being taught, East Asian language is a highly desirable set of content. So we've been building some really strong partnerships with some distributors and publishers there to bring that into Ebook Central. So exciting times on the non-English language front. So breaking down the curation sort of journey that we're going on and where we've really kind of expanded in the last 18 months, it really is trying to make sure that we are matching the needs and we're fulfilling them in terms of what you as librarians need. We do that a variety of ways. We look at a lot of data. We look at what's trending. We look at new courses, new modules, new areas of research. Also just what's going on in the world as well, so it's no surprise that post-pandemic we had a huge influx of requests for content on virology and disaster management, so that's obviously, sometimes you get very obvious kind of trending research areas, but also on the other side to that, we also recognise that post-pandemic as well, libraries are struggling in terms of finding and sourcing material. Library teams, academic liaison teams, subject specialisms, those teams aren't necessarily growing in a lot of cases, and this is not exclusive to North America. This is a global trend. Those teams are actually really shrinking, but still the demand to be able to support and source curriculum is, if anything, it's growing. So we are really, really trying to help support libraries during this time and making sure that you're able to support that set of students and that set of research. So we are very lucky that we have a lot of in-house librarians, so we have expertise. One of our colleagues in the room, Lee Wright, she does a lot of work here on our content curation, and we have a huge team of collection development librarians as well. So they're consistently working and researching and making sure that we're pulling in the right content. But also what we've done this year is we've done a lot of outreach, so not just with our internal kind of working on curation, we've started working really closely with our publisher partners as well, looking at areas that are of interest to them, whether it's bestsellers, whether it's more niche kind of subject areas, and we've worked on creating what we refer to as curated topics. So these are, very, I'd say, kind of usually below around 200 titles of recommended books that we would suggest to librarians. If they're looking for supporting a new module or a new course, but it's on an area that maybe they don't have the in-house specialism, then we put these in our acquisition platforms. So available in Lib Central, in Oasis or Rialto. Not only have we done that, but we've also expanded the arm a little bit further, and we actually now are taking librarian suggestions, and they're helping us curate these lib lists. So this has been a new. We've skipped ahead here. Oh, thank you. So these lib lists, so we have started doing these around about sort of 18 months ago. So we had our very first one with a fantastic librarian partner, Yonti, who's based in Australia, and she created an amazing collection around indigenising the curriculum. And we then expanded out to looking at animal allies, mental health and wellness, and our latest one was a rooted wisdom that Jennifer Randall did an amazing job on curating this as well. So not only are we using our internal resources, but we're bringing in our librarian community to help us ensure that we're able to support the wider kind of library landscape. So that's it on curation, and Audrey mentioned the additions and some of the enhancements we've made to our title matching fast. And just as a show of hands, has anyone in the room ever used our TMF service? Okay, so there's room to grow that. So I'll step back and talk a little bit about this. As Audrey mentioned earlier on, this was born out of the P to E transition. So where libraries were looking to enhance their digital collections, what we offered, and it's a free service, and it was born out of Australia. There was a need for that there. That market obviously moved digital a number of years before the rest of the world followed. And it was to look at and examine a library's print holdings and then match it to see what they could get in e-version. So the output is a really, really detailed report where libraries can then look by subject, by publisher type, by license type, and then start to build out and map out what their enhanced digital collection might look like. So the initial use case for that was the P2E transition, but over time it's really developed. A lot what we see and what we hear from libraries is that space is prime and is badly needed in libraries. So as part of space reclamation projects, we will usually get libraries who will approach us and say, I've got to lose X amount of print shelving. I need to see what I can convert into E. So that's I would say one of the main kind of use cases that we see. And also sometimes it's just curiosity. Libraries would like to see what can I convert. I've got a very, very large and heavy print collection. I want to see what I can get in E. And what we've done over time, the reports have evolved quite a lot. I've said they're quite granular now. So we've started to incorporate new editions, and this was a major ask for libraries. They didn't just want to see their, the E equivalent of what they purchased in print. They wanted to see that as a new edition. So we were able to incorporate that this year into our reports, and it went down very well. Libraries are very happy to kind of have that extra level bit of detail. What we also do now is where we have a concurrent or ongoing promotion with a particular publisher, or if we have an initiative going on, we incorporate that information in as well, and then we're able to calculate the cost savings that libraries can make. So it's a really good budget kind of tool as well if libraries are looking to see what they can get for E, but then also they can calculate what the potential savings are. So many of time these reports have been used as internal library business cases when they're trying to do a very large project to shift over P to E. I would say if you haven't engaged or used TMF, please speak to us about it, or speak to your Clarivate Books rep, because like I said, it's a great insight into what you can do in terms of converting that P over into E, or if there has a particular use case, for example, the space reclamation. And this is just kind of recapping, that in terms of, reclaiming space, the new editions, fantastic new feature. And also in terms of supporting faculty, that's probably one use case I forgot to sort of mention in terms of, kind of faculty looking to expand, for example, their reading lists. And we do know, and as someone who was an acquisitions librarian for a long time, trying to get, some faculty to refresh and maybe update their reading lists can be difficult, I'll say, in a very diplomatic way. So this is a really great tool as well in terms of showing what potentially there is in digital form and different types of content as well. That's a great tool that we have heard libraries are using to kind of show their faculty to say, listen, this is potentially how you could update your reading list, make it more digital friendly, and so that's another use case that I would recommend using. So on to our marketplace. So we just wanted to talk to you a little bit about Rialto. So Rialto is our marketplace that lives within the Alma library management system. We're now well over 500 live Rialto libraries. So we've come a long way in the year since we've launched. And with Rialto, we were really trying to kind of meet and kind of fulfill and kind of help with some of the library pain points in terms of the selection, the acquisition, and the analysis at the time when you're trying to purchase a title. And one of the major pain points were there are just so many interfaces to look at when I'm trying to purchase. I need to know how many funds I've got. I need to know whether this book is in my holdings. I need to know whether it's in a DDA or if it's in an EBA pool. And that can take maybe 7, 8 screens, and then maybe kind of like shouting over in the office to your colleague who's managing maybe the funds. And that was what we're hearing more and more from libraries in terms of it just takes a lot of staff time, and that's just to acquire 8 books. How can we consolidate that, and how can we not be leaving our kind of environment and flicking from screen to screen? So Rialto was created, and we kind of use these. This is kind of our sort of like tagline for it, but it is about buying faster, smarter, and buying it sort of together. So at the point of purchase, it's a fully integrated marketplace. So and we've got a screenshot here, which will demonstrate. Perfect. So at the point of purchase, libraries who are using Rialto can see, okay, so this book, is it in my holdings? Do I have it as a print? Is it part of a collection? They can see whether it's currently in their DDA pool. When they get to checkout to purchase the book, they can actually, once they've added the fund code information, they can see real-time fund holdings, and they can see how much is going to be encumbered by making that purchase. So again, it really is just about helping libraries make best use of their time, a real workflow energy efficiency sort of saver. And like I said, we're well over 500 customers. It's a growing community of users, and expanding with new features and looking to kind of continue to streamline that librarian workflow. And that is it. So thank you very much for listening, and yeah, we're ready to take any questions.